You know, every single business out there, I don't care if it's the tiny coffee shop on your corner or a massive tech company, they're all on the same quest. They're all searching for that one thing that makes them stand out from the crowd. They're looking for their edge. And today, we're going to break down exactly what that edge, what we call a competitive advantage, really is and how companies actually go about finding it.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by defining what an advantage even is. Then, we'll get into the three main strategies for winning one. After that, we'll look at how you size up the competition and your own strengths, and we'll wrap it all up by figuring out how to make that hard-won advantage actually last.
All right, let's get right into it. What does it actually mean for a business to have an edge? Well, it really all boils down to a very simple, everyday question.
Just think about it for a second. Seriously, two phone brands, two coffee shops, whatever. Why do you pick one over the other? Is it just the price, or is it the quality? Maybe it's just the vibe, the brand, or the fact that their customer service is just amazing. That reason, that little thing that makes you go, yep, that's the one. That is the heart and soul of competitive advantage.
And right there, you've basically hit on the official definition. A competitive advantage is just that special mix of things that makes a customer choose you over all the other options. It's the clear, simple answer to the question, why should I pick you?
So this edge isn't some kind of magic. It's built on real, tangible stuff. It could be a killer feature nobody else has, like the first foldable phone screen. Or it might be about superior quality, just building something that's made to last. Or hey, it could just be having the lowest prices, the friendliest service, or some new tech that completely changes the game.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some nice-to-have corporate buzzword. This is about survival. In a crowded market, having an edge is what pulls customers in, what fuels your growth, and what ultimately decides if a company is going to be around for the long haul. Without an edge, a business is, well, it's just part of the noise.
Okay, so we get what an advantage is and why it's absolutely critical. So, the billion-dollar question is, how do you get one? Well, it turns out there are really three main paths, three core strategies a business can choose from.
The first strategy is beautifully simple. Just be the cheapest. This is called cost leadership. The classic example, a company like Walmart. Their whole game isn't about being the most glamorous, it's about being relentlessly, ruthlessly efficient. They use their massive size, their economies of scale, to offer prices that smaller competitors just can't touch.
Now, the second path is the polar opposite. This isn't about being cheap, it's about being different. And the master of this is, of course, Apple. Their strategy, differentiation, is all about creating a totally unique experience through design, branding, and that whole ecosystem they've built. And that's what makes people happy to pay a premium for their products.
And the third way to win is all about focus. So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, a niche strategy means you pick a very specific narrow slice of the market, like, say, vegan athletes or people who collect vintage watches, and you serve that group better than anyone else on the planet. The idea is to be the undisputed king of that small pond.
So, you've picked your path. You're going to go for cost, differentiation, or a niche. But here's the thing. You can't build a winning strategy in a bubble. You have to understand the world you're playing in. It's time to scout the terrain.
So how do they do that? Well, smart strategists don't just guess. They use this legendary framework. It's almost like a battle map to really understand all the different pressures and forces that are shaping their industry.
And that framework comes from a giant in the world of business strategy, Michael Porter. He developed it to analyze what he called industry competitiveness, which is really just the way of understanding where all the competition is coming from, not just the obvious places.
And here they are, Porter's 5 forces. This model is brilliant because it forces you to look beyond just your direct competitors. It makes you think about the threat of new companies jumping into your space. It looks at how much power your customers have to drive down your prices and how much power your suppliers have to raise your costs. It considers the risk of a totally different product making yours obsolete. And finally, it looks at how intense the dogfight is between the rivals that are already there.
Okay, so once you've scouted the external battlefield with Porter's model, the very next step is to turn that lens inward. You have to get brutally honest about your own company's capabilities. Like the old saying goes, you have to know thyself.
And the go-to tool for this self-assessment is the SWOT analysis. It might seem simple, but it is an incredibly powerful way for a business to take stock of where it is right now. SWOT, of course, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Now, the real genius of SWOT is how it splits things into two buckets, internal and external. Your strengths and weaknesses are all about what's happening inside your company. What are you great at, and where do you, kind of suck? Then opportunities and threats are all about the world outside, positive trends you could ride, or dangers lurking around the corner that you need to watch out for. So you combine that external analysis with this internal one. And what's the ultimate goal? It's to find a sustainable competitive advantage. See, for an edge to truly last, it has to pass these 4 tests. It needs to be valuable to customers, it has to be rare, it must be inimitable, meaning incredibly hard for anyone else to copy. And finally, it has to be non-substitutable, meaning there's no easy alternative to what you offer.
And this brings us to our final section, and maybe the toughest part of this whole quest. Finding an advantage is one thing, but keeping it, in a world that changes in the blink of an eye, that's a whole different challenge. How do you stop your edge from going dull?
The answer really is one word: innovation. And look, innovation is so much more than just inventing some new gadget. It can be about the product itself, sure, but it can also be about the process you use to make it, or even your entire business model. I mean, think about how Netflix completely changed the game by shifting from mailing DVDs to streaming online. That's innovation.
And that is why innovation is the ultimate weapon for making an advantage last. It's not a one-time thing, it's a constant process of staying one step ahead. It's what allows a company to adapt, to solve new problems for its customers, and to constantly reinvent itself, making sure that its edge stays sharp year after year.
Which brings us to this final thought from Michelangelo. The quest for a competitive advantage, it never really ends. The very moment a company thinks it has reached the finish line and can finally relax, that's the moment it starts to lose. The real goal is to just keep aiming higher, to keep innovating, and to never, ever stop searching for an even better edge. Thanks for tuning in.